Noticed a beggar as he was helping his father with a business transaction. He ran after the beggar and emptied his pockets of everything he had into the man's hands. And it was in that moment that Francis connected the lightness of his pockets with the lifting of his despondency. Suddenly, Francis's life had purpose. Francis made a rather drastic response to God's call in his life by giving up everything he had to the poor and becoming completely dependent on the grace of God. He became homeless, and he lived outside with the animals and the lepers, leaving the stresses of career, family, and wealth behind him. It was not until Francis completely rejected all of the things that placed a claim on his heart that were not centered on God's love that Francis found true freedom. Like the young Francis, we lug around many burdens that the world has placed on our shoulders. Many of us live with almost constant stress. Many of us have a lot to lose, and we live in constant fear that something beyond our control is going to happen, and we could lose it all. We feel enormous pressure to be successful, to be winners, to be happy, or to at least appear that way. We have very high standards for ourselves, and we compete with ourselves in order to live up to them. And all of this, as you well know, is completely exhausting. Come unto me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. This morning, we hear the words that our weary souls are longing to hear, but our minds might find difficult to believe. How can taking a yoke, yet another yoke, give us rest? I think what Jesus means is that the burden he places on us as his followers really is as light as a feather compared to the anvils in our lives that we're constantly lugging around. I think the key to understanding how this all works comes from Animal Planet. St. Francis, I'm sure, would understand and appreciate. The TV show The Dog Whisperer features unruly, misbehaving, and often miserable dogs and their even more miserable owners. Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, visits a different family each week and teaches the owners how to get their pets to a point where they can live as real members of the family, instead of chewing up their furniture, running around in circles, or biting the mailman. Often, the dog whisperer diagnoses the dog problem as not having a purpose, or for having the wrong idea about what the dog's purpose is. The dog believes that it really is his job to tear off the UPS man's leg, or to protect the owner's home by barking incessantly. The dog whisperer helps the dog by giving it a new job, a new purpose. Sometimes he gives the dog a little doggy backpack. I love those episodes, the doggy backpack. And the dog wears it on walks so that the dog believes that it's her job to carry a burden. Once the dog catches on to her new job description, many of the other behaviors cease because she now knows what's truly expected of her. Jesus is like the dog whisperer. What Jesus is doing in this gospel is offering us a new job description, a new thing to carry. This yoke, this doggy backpack that Jesus is offering each of us is infinitely lighter than whatever it is we're already carrying on our backs. Because this load was made for us. It was made especially for us. And we were made in order to carry it. The burden Jesus places on us as his followers is as light as a feather compared to the anvils in our lives that we are constantly lugging around. We can't take on Jesus' yoke and the yokes of these other things at the same time. Jesus' yoke does not look like anything else. It gives us purpose, something to base every decision we make upon. It gives us something to actually do, to do God's reconciling work in the world, and to keep on doing it until the whole world knows how much God loves it. And it promises us that we'll get to play an integral part in the healing and restoration of this world and have a deep and abiding relationship with our Creator. That is why this yoke is easy and light. We don't need to be yipping at the mailman when we could be resting at our Master's feet. This is one of the many things that our pets teach us in our lives. And now we have the great pleasure and privilege of asking God to bless our pets.